Hey, how's it going? So, I found an amazing piece of footage involving mammoths caught on tape. Okay, now, I personally think that it is very good. It's a hoax, okay, but I'm sorry, mammoths, that's a creature kind of like Bigfoot, but even more likely than Bigfoot to be still maybe roaming around out there. And you might be going, that's stupid, they're too large, but I'm going to show you something in this book I got that I love on the track of unknown animals. I referenced it before when I talked about the Deloy's ape, and there's a story in there of a guy witnessing 2 live mammoths. Okay, and who knows? Maybe, some already escaped from the lab because they're already thinking about cloning them, because they got such pristine DNA from some corpses they found. But, just a side here. I'm working on, doing a kind of like a graphic novel. Not a graphic novel, but like a field guide of all the different types of Bigfoot. I was going to do humanoids, but I'm going to start with Bigfoots just because there's so many different kinds of Bigfoot. Although I personally think it's all the same thing, which would be Gigantopithecus. Much like a woolly mammoth still alive. I don't think it's an undiscovered species. I think it's a relic. Okay. Well, back to the footage. So most people are saying it's a fake, of course. I went to Snopes.com and kind of looked into it, and the backstory on this is that it was taken back in 1943 by a German Nazi Party member. He was the official photographer for the NSDAP, whatever that is. And they were on a march to a camp in Siberia after they were caught. And a lot of people are talking about how would he develop it, and would he? I'm sure the Russian army was like, yes, shoot, please get that on camera, and then they took the footage and then they developed it somehow. But the backstory, I don't give 2 shits about. You know me. I think I just care about the footage, and it's really well done. Somebody else on the Snopes comment board said they found the pristine somebody said they put effects over it to make it look kind of distorted and compressed or whatever, to make it look old-timey, and they have the full 3D animation that you can look at, but that video has been removed because of course I want to see it. I clicked on it, wasn't there. Anybody finds it, send it my way. I'd like to see it, because this to me is really good footage. It is a damn good fake. The fluidity of the fur bouncing around. I don't know. It's all subjective, of course. Everybody's got a opinion on it. They'd probably be like, well, somebody drug a rug over their dog and made it have a bone in its mouth. I don't know. But to me, I think it looks pretty damn good. However, in this particular footage that I was looking at, it has the other mammoth footage that came out back in 2011, and that one's not so good, obviously, because it's so incredibly blurry. That really could be just a rug draped over 2 guys. One guy's up front holding the tusks, and one guy's in the back wagging the tail or something. But it's so blurry, it just doesn't matter. It kind of looks like a bear. I heard some people say bear, but the tusk, you can definitely see some tusks, or something white protruding out that looked like tusks to me. So I don't know what else I was gonna say about that first footage of the mammoth, but I do want to read a passage from this book. Okay, all up in your face. This is a first edition, so it cost me a pretty penny, but you can buy a Kindle version and a new reprinted version of Bernard Heuvelmann's On the Track of Unknown Animals. Definitely, if you're into cryptozoology, it's a good read. Okay, so let me flip to that page. Maybe I'll cut this out if I'm feeling particularly ambitious, so you don't have to go through. I thought I had it bookmarked. Why would I have it bookmarked? Why would I do that? Found it. The second year I was exploring the tag, I was very much struck to notice tracks of a huge animal. I say huge tracks for they were a long way larger than any of those I had often seen of animals I knew well. It was autumn. There had been a few big snowstorms followed by heavy rain. It wasn't freezing yet. The snow had melted, and there were thick layers of mud in the clearings. It was in one of these big clearings, partly taken up by a lake, that I was staggered to see a huge footprint pressed deep into the mud. It must have been about 2 feet across the widest part and about 18 inches the other way. That's to say, the spoor wasn't round but oval. And a spoor is just a footprint, if you didn't know that. There were 4 tracks, the tracks of 4 feet. The first 2 about 12 feet from the second pair, which were a little bigger in size. Then the track suddenly turned east and went into the forest of middling-sized elms. Where it went in, I saw a huge heap of dung. I had a good look at it. Like you do when you see dung, you get an eyeful. I had a good look at it and saw it was made up mostly of vegetable matter. Some 10 feet up, just where the animal had gone into the forest, I saw a sort of broken branches made, I don't doubt, by the monster's enormous head as if forced its way into the place where it had decided to go, regardless of what was in its path. I followed the track for days and days. Sometimes I could see where the animal had stopped in some grassy clearing and then had gone on forever eastward. Then, one day, I saw another track, almost exactly the same. It came from the north and crossed the first one. It looked to me from the way they had trampled about all over the place for several hundred yards as if they had been excited or upset at their meeting. Then the 2 animals set out marching eastwards, one following some 20 yards behind the other, both tracks mingling and plowing up the earth together. I followed them for days and days, thinking that perhaps I should never see them, and also a bit afraid, for indeed I didn't feel I was big enough to face such beasts alone. Upon reading this again, it does kind of sound, maybe like a confabulation. I don't know. One afternoon, he went on, it was clear enough from the tracks that the animals weren't far off. The wind was in my face, which was good for approaching them without them knowing I was there. All of a sudden, I saw one of the animals quite clearly, and I must admit I was really afraid. It had stopped among some young saplings. It was a huge elephant with big white tusks, very curved. It was a dark chestnut color as far as I could see. It had fairly long hair on the hindquarters, but it seemed shorter at the front. I must say I had no idea that there were such big elephants. It had huge legs and moved very slowly. I've only seen elephants in pictures, but I must say that even from this distance, we were some 300 yards apart, I could never have believed any beast could be so big. The second beast was around. I saw it only a few times among the trees. It seemed to be the same size. And then I'm going to read the annotation here. It says, this could not possibly have been deduced from the tracks and could only be based on what he subsequently saw of the beast in motion. The hunter may well have been carried away by this story, and in any case we should not forget that M. Gallen, who certainly did not take this tale down verbatim in the middle of a meal, must have retold it and perhaps embroidered it himself. So this is like kind of oral, 3 people handling this story. So yeah, just thought I'd share that. My conclusion: mammoths are real and still alive. Just kidding. Thanks for watching.